How's it going? Dave here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to create your own home recording setup. So this is going to be perfect for those of you who want to record your own music, if you want to create backing tracks that you want to jam along with, or if you just want a better practice environment. Creating your own home recording setup, your own mini studio, is really essential nowadays. So I'm going to be showing you all the hardware that you need, all the software that you need, and also I'm going to be creating a backing track in real time for you so you can kind of see the process and understand how to do it for yourself. So let's get straight into the video. Alright, so let's talk about the hardware that you're going to need for your studio first of all. So the first thing you're going to need is one of these. You're going to need a laptop or a desktop PC. I'd recommend something with a lot of processing power here. Here are my recommended specs. So you're gonna want at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, a lot of storage space. So you want at least 500 gigabytes here because everything you do with your recording studio takes up memory. So any plugins you download, any ideas that you record are just gonna take up lots and lots of memory. So that is really essential. And you need something with, as I said, good processing power. So a quad core processor, i5, i7, that kind of thing would be really good. Now these are my recommended specs. If your specs are not as high as this, don't let that put you off starting recording. You can definitely get started with a lot less of the requirements that I've just said, but it just makes your studio more efficient if you've got a more powerful machine running the operation. The next thing you're gonna need is one of these. Now this is an audio interface. This is the heart of the system. This really is an essential piece of your studio because this is when you're going to plug your guitar in. This is where your instrument signal, so your guitar signal, is converted into a format that your computer can recognize and then record. What the audio interface does as well is it takes the audio from the computer and then runs it through to your headphones that are plugged in here, or your monitors, which are plugged in the back. And the monitors are these speakers that you see here. So as you can see with this and most audio interfaces, we've got these inputs here. Let's get that focused in there. You can plug a jack or an XLR into this so you can play your guitar or use a microphone with this. Interfaces also have mic preamps, obviously, so that you can sing or record an acoustic guitar or an amp straight into your computer. An audio interface that I would recommend is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. This is a really durable and great value for money interface that is gonna serve all the purposes you need for a home recording studio. It's the one I use. I've been using it for years and I have not found the need to buy another one just yet. Now, of course, it's important that you can hear what you're recording. So you need a good pair of headphones or a good pair of monitors. Now, a real good pair of headphones or monitors will give you a really flat response. So what I mean by that is that it's not gonna boost the bass or boost the treble. It's just gonna give you a really, really flat EQ so you can hear an accurate depiction of the music that you're recording. This is really important for mixing and mastering, making sure you get the best sound out of your recordings so that it sounds great in any type of speaker or headphones. Now these headphones I'm using are KRK KNS 6400s. They're really good. I'd recommend those. I've used them for years. Again, something I've not found the need to replace just yet, although they are getting pretty worn down now, so I might have to replace them soon. If you're on a budget, I'd recommend the Sennheiser HD206s. They're really, really good. And of course, once you've got some headphones, then maybe you can upgrade to some monitors. Like mine, I've got the KRK Rocket 5s. Now we're nearly there. The final piece of hardware that you need to start recording is cables. So obviously you need cables to plug your interface into your computer. So that's gonna be a USB cable. You also need speaker cables if you're using monitors to plug your audio interface into your monitors. And of course you need a jack lead, obviously, to plug your guitar in, and an XLR cable here, which looks like this. You might have seen them before. If you're using a microphone, and you could be using obviously a microphone to record your voice or to record an acoustic guitar or an amp. Make sure you have some really high quality cables, as that can affect the signal and thus affect the quality of your recordings and productions. So there's a little bit more hardware that we need, but we've got everything we need to start recording something now. So I'm gonna jump into a recording session and create a little backing track. Let's get started. So we are currently in our digital audio workstation, or DAW for short. I'm using a program called Reaper, and I have used Reaper for years and years. I really love Reaper. I think it's great, but it's not the only DAW out there that does the job. You've got things like Logic, you've got Pro Tools, Cubase, Ableton, lots of other DAWs that are really good and are worth checking out for sure. Now, as you can see, we've got our user interface here. So what we've got here is we've got tracks down below. As you can see, I've got one recording my voice here, and then this one here is recording my guitar. So as you can see, the little meter shows some audio when I'm playing some guitar. Now, obviously, I can't go into all the micro details of the DAW because we'll be here one for years. And if you're using another DAW, then it's going to be a little bit different. But DAWs generally work the same way. We've got the tracks here at the bottom. And then we've got this window here. If you can see my mouse at the top, that is the arrangement window where we're going to place all of our audio. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to record some guitar in. So what I need to do before recording an idea is make sure the metronome is turned on. So that's turned on now, and I've set it so that it's going to run during recording and it's going to count me in before the recording for 1 bar. I'm going to make sure I've got these deselected. You can have them selected if you want, but if I'm just listening back, I don't want to count in, and I don't want the metronome to run during playback either. I just want to hear what I've played. Okay. I'm also going to set the tempo to something maybe. Let's stick to 120 here, okay? We're going to play 120 beats per minute. I'm going to play an R&B style chord progression here and record it in. So I'm going to press the record button. It's going to count me in for 1 measure or bar, and then I'm going to play the chord progression, okay? So let's give it a go. Awesome, so I've recorded an idea. Now this top track here, that is my microphone, so I'm going to delete that. And this bottom track here is my guitar. So let's listen to that back. You get the idea, it plays it twice. Now, this sounds like a plain guitar. It doesn't sound like it's running through an amp. So we need to use an amp simulation plugin to get it sounding really nice. So now you'll get to see the amp that I use for all my videos if you want to know how I create the tone. Let's load up an instance of Archetype Pliny by Neural DSP. This is a great amp. I use it for metal. It's got that high gain sound, it's got a crunch, and it's also got a clean sound as well. So let's turn the reverb down just a touch. That sounds good. Now I have not touched any of the settings here on this amp, but let's just hear how much better it sounds now. Awesome, that's sounding really, really nice now. Okay, now obviously I can adjust some of the settings. I like to bring the presence down just to get a bit of a warmer sound, bring the treble down a little bit and up the bass just ever so slightly. Now this particular amp, I'm going to turn stereo and high oversampling on. This particular amp has EQ settings, so I can mess around with the EQ, and it also has cabinet settings, so I can choose where the mics are placed and choose which mics I'm using. That's really, really cool. We've also got delay and reverb on this amp, simulation, on this plugin. And we've also got a compressor and overdrive, which I won't use for now. Maybe I'll turn the compressor on actually, just keep it quite low though. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Now what we need to do is record some bass. So let's create another track. So on Reaper, we press Control T, but on any other DAW, it's going to be different. So let's arm this track for recording. Input 2 is where I record my instruments. And let's record some bass in. Again, it's going to count me in for 1 bar, and then I'm going to record. So let's hear how that sounds on its own. Let's delete my voice track and take a listen. Cool, sounds pretty nice. We're gonna turn it up a little bit. Now, there are bass amp simulations, but you can get away for a home recording just with the direct input of the bass. So let's listen to them both together now. Okay, sounds good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy and paste the bass over, because I only played it once. And there we go. Now let's add some drums. Okay, so we're gonna need some samples to add drums to our backing track. So I'm gonna create some more tracks. One for the kick drum, let's name these tracks. One for the snare, and one for the hi-hats. Then let's name the guitar track, guitar, and name the bass track, bass. Okay, so I've loaded some samples in. I've got a kick sample here. Let's take a listen to that. Good. I've got a snare sample. Let's listen to that. And I've also got a hi-hat sample. Let's listen to that. Awesome. They sound really nice. Now, where do we place these? Now, first of all, what we want to do is see these vertical lines. This is the grid. This is where we're going to place our samples. We need to set this to something more than just quarter notes. So every one of these lines is a quarter note. We want to set it to 16th notes. This gives us more options. There we go. Now, I like to put the kick on beat 1, and I like to put the snare on beat 3. That gives us a nice starting point. So let's have a listen to that. Let me put that on all 8 bars that we've got. Sounds pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mess around with the hi-hats to create an interesting little rhythm. So you could just place it every 2 16th notes, so every 8th note, and we get something that sounds like this. So I'm going to turn the hi-hats down, they're a bit loud. Let's listen to that one more time. Okay, cool. So let's do that for the entire thing, but then muck around with it a bit more in a second. Okay, so there's 8th notes for the hi-hats across the entire backing track. Let's just listen one more time. Awesome. Now I'm just going to delete maybe the last 4 bars, and we're gonna just edit these 4 bars here. And what I like to do is just add 16th notes here and there. So let's do this. So let's add one here. This is just totally random. So that sounds pretty good. And then maybe I can do the same thing in the next bar, but add another 16th note here. So, and actually I'm hearing something in my head. I'm hearing the 16th note appearing here as well. So let's take a listen to bar number 2. Sounds good. Now let's completely change bar number 3. There, I think I know what I'm doing here. Let's add one there, and then let's add one there. And then let's listen to bar 3 first, actually. Nice. We'll do that. So our 4 bars with the hi-hats with some randomly placed 16th notes sounds like this. Awesome, so let's just copy and paste those first 4 bars over and put them on the last 4 bars, and now we've got 8 bars of a backing track here. that sounds like a pretty complete backing track already, but we can also add synths. Now to do this, we're going to need a MIDI keyboard. Now, as you can see, I've got my MIDI keyboard set up here, but nothing is playing at the moment. So let's create a new track specifically for the keyboard. Let's name this keyboard and arm it for recording, but we're going to set it so that we're using the MIDI keyboard there to record in. You still don't have any sound. We need a plugin for the synth. So let's add in Serum. Serum is a really great plugin. It is quite expensive. I forget how much it is now. If you download it with Splice, you can pay monthly in installments of what I pay is $10, I think. So it's that's a really good option if you can't afford the one-off payment. I'm going to select from a nice little pack that I have, a pad. Let's try the choral pad. Let's hear how that sounds. That sounds really nice. Does it work over the top of our backing track though? That is the question. So let's play the backing track and just experiment a little bit. Doesn't sound bad, but I'm going to experiment with some other sounds. Dawn chorus. Let's try that. Okay, I like that as well, but I'm not the most keen on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a sound that I really like, and I'll come back to you when I found the sound. Okay, so the one I like the most was the first one, the choral pad. I've just adjusted a filter here just to make it sound a little bit more appropriate for the backing track. So let's record an idea in. Now, I am not a pro keyboard player, so this might take 1 or 2 goes. Let's give it a go. Wow, that worked first try. So now we have a backing track with bass, guitar, drums, and keyboard. Let's take a listen to the final result. Sounds really, really good. Now, one final thing we can do is make this backing track a little bit longer and change some of the parts up a little bit. So let's copy and paste this section of our backing track. Oh, let's take away my vocal track there. And let's copy and paste that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 repetitions of what you've just heard. Now, I'm just going to try as an experiment on the last 2, taking out the guitars. And no, I'm just going to take out the guitar. Okay, so we've just got bass and the keyboard. Let's take a listen to that. Cool, that sounds pretty nice, but what I think I'll do is I'll take this keyboard and I'll drag it down and create a new keyboard effect for this section. So let's create a new sound. Let's go for, I don't know, let's go for breeze. That sounds nice. Okay, let's go for that. Oh, that's definitely not appropriate. Let's try something else. Give me a second and I'll be back with a sound that sounds nice. Okay, so I found a new sound that sounds good, and I've added 7ths to all the chords as well, just to mix things up a little bit. That is my basic process for creating a backing track. There's obviously more that goes into that. We've got to mix it, even maybe master it to make it sound as good as it possibly can. But it already sounds pretty nice just from adjusting some of the levels a little bit with these faders here. So hopefully you've learned a lot from this lesson. I've shown you all the gear you need to get your home recording setup started, and I've shown you the process of writing a backing track, albeit in a very basic way. If you want to see some more detailed tutorials on producing backing tracks, mixing, mastering, more technical stuff like that, let me know in the comments. I don't know whether it's something you want to see, so do let me know. Also, if you've made it this far in this video, I want you to type the word pineapple down in the comments. 1, so I know that people have watched the video all the way through, and 2, so that it will confuse all the people who don't get this far. If you enjoyed the video, click like. Again, if you've got video suggestions, let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy what I do and you want to give back, I do have a Patreon page down below that you can subscribe to. You get exclusive lessons, you get exclusive content, you get extras from my videos like the backing track from today's video, and tabs, chord diagrams, loads of other stuff. So take advantage of that. It starts at as little as $2 per month. Definitely head down there if that sounds like your kind of thing. And watch this video next because you're going to learn a whole lot more. And I'll see you there. Have a good one.